Hi, I'm going to show you how to use the spatial join field map options using the GUI. We're going to be using the spatial join to find all of the buildings in a given city and calculate their mean value. So I'm going to start by putting city as my target field and buildings as my join field because I'm interested in all of the buildings within a given city. I'm going to go ahead and select one-to-one join, and I'm going to deselect the keep all target features because I'm only interested in the cities that have buildings in them. Then I'm going to move on to the field map interface. So this is going to be the most important thing that we're going to look at. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at all of your output fields in the output field area. So I'm looking at the shape area and the shape length. I can see those are coming from the buildings layer, which means that they're actually not going to mean anything to me once they get joined to the city's data, because we're only going to get one feature for each city, and it's going to contain all the information for all the buildings. So shape length and shape area of buildings aren't going to matter to me. I'm going to look at the rest of my output fields. Up at the top we have name, so that's not super descriptive. I think I want to change this to reflect what the data actually is in my output table. So this is coming from our cities field, or our cities table rather. And so I'm going to change this in the properties tab to city name, so that I know in the output table what I'm actually looking at. If I was interested, I could actually change an alias. This just changes what it appears as in the output table, but I'm good with city name with the underscore. You can also change the type. This is a text field, so I'm going to keep it text. I don't need to change anything about the way that that's going to get merged. So now we're going to go down to our more important fields for our output table. So assessed value is going to be our money field, literally and figuratively. We're going to use this field to calculate all, or the mean value of all the buildings within a given city. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually change the name under the properties tab again to something that's a little bit more descriptive. It's going to help me out a little bit more. So I'm going to change this field name to mean assessed value. I can also change the type, but this is an integer already, which is important for us because that's what's going to allow us to perform statistical operations on the values within this field. Okay, so I'm going to add mean to the beginning of our name. That's going to indicate to me this is the mean of all the building values for a city. I'm double checking that, yep, my data is coming from the assessed value buildings field. And then I'm going to do the important step of changing the merge rule. Now, the merge rule is what's going to dictate how the program handles the data from multiple features that are going into one field. Default is first. So that just means it's going to take the very first value that it comes across that conforms to the join parameters. So that's not going to do me any good for this, right? We actually want to take all of the building assessed values and put them into a single field and get the mean for all of them. So I'm going to select mean, and so that's going to do exactly what I just described. All of the assessed values for the buildings that are within a city are going to be merged, and the mean is going to be calculated in this field. Next, we're going to look at type. So this is a field that was from our buildings data set that actually gives a number that's coded for the type of building that the feature represents. And so I actually do want this in my output field, or my output table rather. I want this field to reflect a list of all of the different types that went into calculating that mean assessed value. So I'm going to kind of make some changes to the data that's coming in. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to move to my properties tab. Okay, so I'm going to change the name of this field to reflect what data I'm going to be putting into it. So I know what the heck it is when I open my output field, or my output table rather. So I'm going to change this to building type list. So I know that it's a list of all the building types. And in order to make a list, I actually am going to change the type of data that's going in. So I'm going to change this to text. That opens up a few different merge options that we can actually use under source. And one of those is the join merge option. So join is going to put all the different values into one field as a list. But I don't just want them all mashed together actually, coming from the buildings. I want them to actually be delimited by something. So I'm going to put a comma and then a space as my join delimiter, which just means that instead of just a mush together string, I'm going to get each value from buildings separated by a comma, a space, and then another value. And so that, and it's coming from type, from buildings, that's perfect. And then the next thing I'm going to look at, we have description, and I'm actually not interested in having that in my output field. Doesn't do me a lot of good, I don't think, so I'm going to hit remove on this one. Then we're all set. If I wanted to create a custom field, I could do that by hitting this plus button to add new fields, and I could perform all the same customizations, data allocation, and merge rule options on that field that I create entirely myself. But I'm going to go ahead and add completely contains because I want all of the buildings that are completely contained within each city as my match option. And then I'm going to go ahead and run this tool. Let this bad boy run and let's see what our output table looks like if we get all of what we were hoping and dreaming to. So we can see I've got two features here that popped up. I've got a table or a layer in my contents pane. I open up the field and I see two cities under the city name. Wow, it was really good that I named it that, super helpful. And then mean assessed value. I've got a big old number. That's the mean of all of the inputs from all of the buildings. And then if I scroll over here, I have, just like I had described, a list of every single building type that went in from the buildings list. So I can do with that what I need to. So that is how you use the field map for spatial joins. Thanks for watching.